Welcome to Happy Buyer, Happy Seller. I'm Shaun Thornton, an award-winning business broker based in Central Florida. For over 20 years, I've helped business owners sell their companies by bringing decades of high-level corporate sales experience into the world of business brokerage. Today, I'm a master certified business intermediary, one of fewer than 100 in the world, and a proud member of the International Business Brokers Association. I've brokered scores of successful transactions, totaling millions of dollars, working with both sellers and buyers every step of the way. This podcast is for business owners thinking about an exit, those who've tried to sell and struggled, and buyers who want to understand what it really takes to purchase the right business. Along the way, I'll be joined by business owners, buyers, and trusted experts in finance, law, banking, and more, sharing real experiences, lessons learned, and practical insights you can use. If you're thinking about selling, buying, or just want to better understand the process, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Okay, that's the intro to our show. Initially, right now, I'm going to talk about my background and how I became a business broker, which I have been for next week. It'll be 22 years, unbelievably. It's been a very interesting career for me. And as you'll hear, it was a significant career change all those years ago. And so how did I get here? What have I done in my life to be here? I'm an electrical engineer by trade and profession. You can hear I'm from the UK initially. From the north of England, from Yorkshire, city of Sheffield, which is notorious for steel. And that's indeed what I worked in for many, many years, supplying equipment to the steel industry, having initially worked in the steel industry, and then got transferred from Sheffield to Pittsburgh. There you go, steel to steel. Reasonably successful in sales. I was asked to take on a sales role. So here we are. We got an engineer who's suddenly taking on a sales role. But I found that was really my niche. Selling equipment to the steel industry, and indeed I also sold quite a lot of equipment to the aluminum industry, is very tough because the projects don't happen overnight. It takes a long, long time for those projects to come together. And what's really, really complicated about such projects is that they are, they're very, very difficult to propose. We have to have large teams of engineers of all kinds of disciplines. And we were estimators. I'll talk about estimates in a second. So it was a great move for me to get into sales. I was in Pittsburgh for a number of years. Also ran international sales from the UK. So I spent time in Brazil and South Africa and Australia, Russia, if you will believe. Selling large projects. I think the point I want to make here is that I'm sort of number of disciplines right across the field, which I had to be able to lead teams and sell those projects. How big? 9 figures. 9 figures. I sold not every day, unfortunately, but one of the largest I sold was over $250 million. Now you don't do that by yourself, of course. Yeah, we're all cogs in the machine, but I was fronting it up, and that was a pretty nifty project. One of my favorite ones was in South Africa. I sold a project there, and the reason I bring that up, that was about $100 million. The reason I bring that up is that I had to have all aspects of the deal put together so that I could present it to the client, and of course present it to our higher management, who had to sanction such a thing as that. So we had to go to, believe it or not, to Korea for manufacturing. So we had to bring that into the equation. We had to have local manufacturing, UK, US supply, automation. We partnered with a German firm for some elements of the automation. So these things are incredibly complicated. And the estimate, I mentioned estimate. If you can imagine, I'm sure that an estimate for a steel mill or aluminum mill, retrofits can be even trickier, but new or retrofit, very, very complicated indeed. And I think what this has meant in my current role is that I'm very conscious of getting things right and having no surprises. Making sure that when I talk to people who are thinking of selling their business, that I lay it all out in front of them. Well, this is what you need to do. These are the things you need to concentrate on. Obviously, the numbers are very, very important. So you need to understand your numbers and get them over to me. And so in the next phase, in the next chapter of what we're talking about, you'll hear me talking about the bits and pieces that are very important when selling a business, and when putting a deal together for a seller, and then bringing buyers in, and then bringing the two elements together. So I think I bring quite a bit of experience from my old days. Hopefully you'll see some of that and enjoy the next part of the show. Let's have a little look at the guests who I'm intending to bring along. Clearly, people who have both purchased a business and sold their business. Different types of manufacturing. You can't get away from bars and restaurants. That's over 50% of all businesses that are sold and purchased, are bars and restaurants. But in this area, property management, landscaping, that kind of pool cleaning, it's natural that brokers in this area handle deals such as that. I got some people who have a unique custom bakery here in town. I helped them to buy that business, so they're going to be coming along. I sold, believe it or not, a doggy hotel, not once but twice, and so I've got the owner, the previous owner, coming along to join me. Some years ago, I sold a screen business, which I think that's good because that looks at the contracting side. What license do you need? It's a big issue that you've got to really focus on. So, what kind of a complicated license do you need for screen construction? You do, by the way. I can tell you, particularly here in Florida, very, very, very tight. I'll be asking an attorney to come along when we do deals. Obviously, we have to have the deals put together legally, properly. We have an interesting, intriguing way of doing things here in Florida. It's not like other parts of the country. You're going to have to wait for that one when we get my attorney friend to come along. For me, the SBA 7A program is marvelous. It is. I don't think it would be wrong to say it's the lifeblood of our industry. So I'll have an SBA lender coming along in the next few weeks to talk to us. In Florida, we have an organization that's called Business Brokers of Florida. And I always do this umbrella thing, but that's what it is. It's an umbrella organization. I think there's probably around 1,000 brokers and agents currently who are members. So we work together. Here's the motto. Here's my take on it. We'd do anything that we have to do to get a good listing, but once one of us has got it, we're all trying to sell it. That's a good way of looking at it. We'll talk about the details of that with my fellow broker who will be coming along. I don't think that anybody should be selling their business unless they fully understand the tax implications of that sale. So I encourage sellers to make sure that they've discussed matters with their CPA. And of course, it's very specialized, this. So we have some specialized CPAs that we can call on to help sellers should they feel that they need it. But I'd like to bring a CPA into the mix here to talk about that. But also, the one sort of thing that I really, really concentrate on, focus on, is due diligence. Due diligence. It's got to be done properly. It's got to be understood. It's got to be signed off by the buyer. It's got to be signed off by the buyer that due diligence has been completed. I don't think that you should be doing due diligence on a business without you've got a CPA aside doing that. So we'll be talking about that. In the city here, we have a marvelous National Entrepreneur Centre, which has several facets to it, SCORE being one, the SBDC, Small Business Development Centre, being another, and the Advisory Board Council being another. And I have been an Advisory Board Council advisor for 15 plus years. So I'll have somebody coming along to join us from that organization, the SBDC. And so here's a question. Where does business brokerage end and M&A, mergers and acquisition, begin? That's a really good question. I've got my own opinion, and we'll talk about that. We'll have an M&A and private equity specialist coming along to discuss that. So I'll give you a statistic. Only 15 to 20% of all businesses that are listed for sale, properly listed for sale, actually sell. There's a lot of reasons for that. And therefore, I say to business sellers, prepare, prepare, prepare. That's my one of my little mottos. Happy buyer, happy seller, of course. I don't like surprises, never having surprises, particularly late-breaking surprises. If you want to kill a deal, let's have a late-breaking surprise. Always be in charge of your numbers. Know your numbers if you're a business owner. I think that anyway, but particularly when it comes time to sell, you should be able to, because it's the numbers that sell the business. The rest of it is important and necessary and supports the business, of course, but it's the numbers that sell the business. And one last little motto, I have many, but just this little handful now. The marketplace dictates the price, and we know how to properly price a business, appraise the business for sale, and then present that, and then the market will respond accordingly. If we talk about the various aspects of selling a business, I've got a number of different items that will come up in the various shows. The one thing I always say to business sellers, are you really ready to sell your business? And that is, oh yeah, I am. No, but are you ready? Are you really prepared? Have you thought about this, that? So I like to have that discussion with business sellers. I'm just going to pick a couple of these as we go down. What's the broker's role? We'll talk about that. What does a broker? What do we bring to the party? Why would anybody use a broker versus trying to sell it themselves? Let's talk licenses. What licenses are needed for a particular type of business? It's pretty tough here in Florida. I think probably as tough as anywhere. So you've got to understand how would we market the business? Yeah, okay. So you've got to prepare a document that can be given to a potential buyer called a confidential information memorandum. You'll hear that phrase, SIM. Is a phrase that we use a lot. There's a number of other things. I'm not going to focus too heavily on them yet. Buyers. Here's another important statistic. If you're a buyer, you really need to know this. Only 10% of those people who state that they are looking to buy a business ever actually proceed to the purchase of a business. Ever. Now, what does that mean? I know what you're thinking, tire kickers, but it's more important than that. As a broker, I have to ensure that you are a genuine buyer, not just for the seller's sake or my sake, but for your sake as well. So I'm going to have a number of questions to put to a potential buyer to make sure that that's what they really, really, really want to do. And that 10% statistic is in my mind, and let me tell you, in the mind of many, many brokers. So I think we're sort of coming to the end of this particular aspect of the show, but I just let me just give you a little conversation on buy versus start. Why would anybody buy a business versus starting a business? Well, of course, everything is in place. You can demonstrate sales volume, you can demonstrate expenses, and you can demonstrate income to the business. You know what the working capital requirement is. All of the necessary equipment is in there, is in place already. Employees, of course, they're there with their skills and talent and experience. The business has a reputation. Suppliers already there, and the intangible factor of goodwill can be demonstrated and can be calculated. So why would you? I've been to a number of conversations with presentations on people who are thinking of starting a business. In fact, you really should think very, very carefully about buying a business if you are versus starting. I know some people may just say, oh no, I haven't got it. I can only do this and start small. Okay, fine. But always take a good look at the purchase of a business. Just for a bit of fun. Let me tell you what my favorite business is. It doesn't have any employees. It doesn't have any lease. It doesn't have a license. It doesn't have any equipment, fixtures, FF&E. It doesn't have any inventory. And nor does it have accounts receivable or payable. It doesn't have to have suppliers, and certainly isn't a franchise. There's no working capital needed, and no cash flow issues, and there's no partnership. Now, the reason I say that is, if I put that to a business buyer, they say, how ridiculous is it? But as you look at different businesses, you can cross off those. Say, well, okay. Oh, well, I don't have a partnership. Take that off straight away. But if it's a business that doesn't have any employees, say, for example, that's not bad, because unfortunately, it's better to live without employees than with them. So I have that sort of little list that I say to people, well, just take a look at that. Well, that's nonsense. Yeah, I know, but just cross off for this particular business what is needed or what is not needed for this particular business. So there we are. I think that's an entree. As we go forward now in the next few weeks and months, I'll have a number of people sitting right there, and we'll be talking about all of the aspects of the purchase and sale of privately held business. Let's not call them small business, privately held businesses. Thanks very much. I'll look forward to speaking to you at some time in the near future. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening to Happy Buyer, Happy Seller. The sad truth is only 15% of businesses listed for sale actually sell. Hopefully this episode removed some of the stumbling blocks to sale and highlighted the ways in which barriers can be overcome. If you're a business owner thinking about selling, or a buyer considering your next step, I'm always here to chat and help you think through your options. So, to learn more or access additional resources, then reach out to me directly at www.happybuyerhappyseller.com. Don't worry if you're not ready to make a move yet. An early conversation can make a real difference down the road. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with someone who may be considering selling or buying a business. Until next time, I'm Shaun Thornton, helping create happy buyers and happy sellers. Cheerio.